As you can see, we're in 03 dynamic blocks, and the difference we've done with our block here is that basically we've added attributes. These are kind of like properties that are going to be stored. We're going to see this, just two values. And in our edit function, we've just made a simple little form with a bit of React updating values as we change the values so they get reflected in, and they then set the property of the attributes. Notice here in save, we don't render anything here. We're going to render it dynamically through PHP, because if we change one of our blocks, we then have to put the deprecated version so we don't get the attempt recovery block, or you have to update posts. This is a very clean dynamic way. Brad Schiff proposes it a lot. So this is what we've got here. So if we actually look at this page, what we will do is we will see if we refresh it, and I've got some previous values stored in. If I kind of do 22 and 55 and save. Now if we come in onto the front end, we see the values here. If we go back, now what we're going to do is very quickly look at the database, and we can see in here that's number 76. Let's just refresh the page. If we come down to the very end, we will see, there we go, the different values. If we look in this one here and open this up, we will see that we've got our block being stored, and then here within that block are the properties 22 and 55. So if we come back and open up and come in here and do tiger and cat, save it, and we refresh, tiger and cat still stored in. If we have a look at our database and do an F5, actually sort of just refresh, now we see number 78. Let's go to the very end. 78, there we can see it. So what's actually happening with each revision, our block theme is staying with its properties, and these are the attributes. Now how do we get them in PHP? Well, if we go into our functions file, and for now what we're doing is basically when we register our file, forget that it's a class for a moment, basically we register our script. We did the editor script before. Now we can use this special term render callback and give it a function, which is this one here, though because we're in a class it's this.the HTML. And if you notice, we can get access to those attributes, or whatever variable name we give them, they're the very same as what are in here in the banner.js. So this is how we pass data between JavaScript in these blocks and PHP. So when we come down here, we can see that we can just echo out attributes, and it's array value 1, value 2. So that's how it works there. And we come in here, if we refresh this, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, save it. Then on the front end, there it is. And if we look at the database again and do browse and go all the way to the very end, we will see that post has had a revision, and there we see it, and all the previous versions are stored. So we can see now when we go into something like Hansen and we look at the index HTML in templates, we can see how we can have our category, our blocks, and then we put in the properties. And what WordPress does is when it comes across these files, it looks for comments, it looks for these WP colons, looks for this, passes it all, and then recreates those blocks. So that's dynamic blocks, and that's the basis of the way we're going to make our bespoke theme. They're basically using it. We're going to sort of change things around a little bit and put in different files here and there, but this was just to show the process of creating dynamic blocks through using the render callback, giving it a function, and whatever functions in here, you could take all this away and just return a simple string of text, but you can actually have attributes that have been saved in the block. So we'll go on from there. So you can see really in a sense that when we're doing when we're now making our blocks, that's what we see in the editor, and that's the sort of the React JavaScript where we can set it up. We can do anything we want here. This will be visible in the editor. This here will be rendered through PHP, but it will use the attributes that we've stored. So we'll carry on with that.